I was born in 1965 in London, and I was brought up in Cobham. I've got two elder sisters, Claire and Liz. Went to school in Esher, just down the road from Cobham. My favourite subject is probably art at school, apart from sport. My worst subjects was physics and chemistry, because I was notorious for blowing everything up in the labs. Apart from sport at school, I also worked quite hard at my exams and everything. It's quite unfortunate because my mother was my headmistress as well, so in some ways that was a little bit unfortunate, but it helped when it came to homework in the evenings, I suppose. I loved sport at school. I lived for sport. I took part in everything: swimming, netball, rounders, lacrosse, athletics, and then later on took up pole vaulting. I'm currently the British record holder in pole vault, and later on this year I'll be representing my country at a few internationals, my first internationals in Russia. In June, my first international this year, I actually broke the British record 6 times in one afternoon, which I believe is history. It's made history in British athletics. And hopefully this year, I'm about 5 centimetres off the Commonwealth record at the moment, and I'm hoping later on this year to get very close, or even possibly make the world record, depending how my training goes. I think it's very important with diet to, I have a very varied diet. I eat quite a low-fat diet, high carbohydrates, but generally I think if you're doing a lot of sport and exercise, it doesn't really matter what you eat, as long as it's varied. You eat a lot of vegetables and chicken and rice and things. But if you want a chocolate bar now and again, it's not gonna kill you. In my spare time, which I don't actually have an awful lot of because I'm training every evening, I like to cook. I'm not a brilliant cook, but I do enjoy it. I like horse riding a lot and windsurfing, and I quite like learning new games as well, board games, poker dice now and again. I recently took up a new game, poker dice, and when we finish filming at the end of the day, we've been going back to the hotel and relaxing for a couple of hours, and I've been playing with my mates, the other gladiators, and I think I've been nicknamed the poker dice champion. So hopefully my luck will stay with me for the rest of the filming. If there's any message that I can give any aspiring gladiators, is really not to give up at anything. Not all of us win every time. You win, you lose some. The most important thing about it is to keep trying, keep working at it, and you will always succeed.
I'm 29 years old. I'm from Dartford, same place as Mick Jagger was born. Yeah, Mick Jagger. Don't get no banging, and all that stuff. I was one of 7 children. My daddy was a big, robust kind of guy. He was always lifting weights and things, and that's my first influence in sport. He's a strict disciplinarian as well, which gave me some discipline, which is a quality obviously you need to be a gladiator. He introduced me to boxing because I was a little bit of a bully as a kid, and he thought he'd take me to a boxing club to teach me a bit of humility, which I soon learned. I went from there onto a bit of kickboxing. Oh, by the way, I went to Crayford Secondary School. Well, I went there sometimes anyway. I used to love Tarzan movies as well, so I not only enjoyed martial arts and boxing and stuff, I also liked to have big muscles. I wanted to be a cross between Arnold Schwarzenegger and Bruce Lee. My first love, I think it was one day when I was about 12 years old, I walked past my reflection in a shop window, and that was it. It was love at first sight, and it's a love that still remains with me today. But I don't take things too seriously. I think life's too short to be too sensible. I take gladiators seriously, actually, the actual competition, but in between filming and stuff, you know, I like to be doing silly faces and doing me monkey impressions and things, just to bring in a little bit of levity into the show for the other guys, because sometimes things get a bit tense even on our side. You know, when you want to perform well for everybody, things get a bit tense, and I muck about, relax everybody. I didn't do too well at school, but I later on become a lift engineer, qualified lift engineer. We used to do call-outs. When a lift breaks down, the company that we'd be working for would call us out and go in, we'd have to fix them or repair the lifts. And one day we had a contract for the National Gallery, the new wing of the National Gallery, which Prince Charles was opening this particular day. I went along there, and unfortunately, I think it just got out the lift when it had broken down. And luckily for our company, you know, he wasn't stuck in it. I like to do lots of different types of sports, but my main two sports are kickboxing, which I had a fairly successful career at when I was about 20, about 10 years ago. I wanted to make my legs stronger because in the later rounds I found that I was getting tired, so a friend of mine introduced me to a bodybuilding gym. And at the time when I was kickboxing, fights was very hard to come by because it's a new sport, and I just fell in love with the weights. My muscles started to grow very fast. A lot of me martial art friends used to say, as your muscles get bigger, you're going to get slow, and I think I've dispelled that myth through, you know, showing how agile and supple I am, although I'm still fairly big. I'm 15, going on 16 stone. So that's what I've tried to achieve. I've always kept my suppleness up and agility during my bodybuilding, and I think both complement each other. Well, I think, like Saracen, I'm a bit of a jack of all trades. My favourite probably is hang time. I like the wall. I was successful, fairly successful last year on the wall, but I find it very difficult. It's very difficult on the tendons and things. I quite enjoy all of them. They're all quite demanding and challenging. I wished I'd stuck at school. You know, it saved me a lot of insecurities. Like I say, I eventually got stuck down and got myself a trade, but I was very fortunate because I got into lift engineering for a friend. If I hadn't have done, I don't know where I would have been. Obviously I was fairly lucky becoming a gladiator, so you know, I did have another string to me bow, being quite athletic. So, you know, stick at it, kids. Stick at school. Make sure you get your education before you move on to sport, or try and do both, which is fairly difficult to do both at any high level. I've been married 5 years now to a petite little blonde hairdresser called Pat, quite Pat, and we're still going strong. Things are still fine. Sorry if I've got any girl fans out there. When I'm not doing the gladiators, my favourite things to do are going to the cinema and riding my bike. If I'm not doing that, I'm just sitting at home, chilling out, watching the TV. I haven't got many ambitions really. I just like to make my family financially secure. That's about it really. I think that's about all that most people want to do. If the kids out there want to take up martial arts or weight training, make sure you go to somewhere where you can have qualified supervision, because if you don't know what you're doing, you can get injuries very easily. So make sure you're being well supervised. Take very good advice.
I was born in Brentwood, which is where I live.